Only one sound can captivate all scientists, enthusiasts of unknown creatures, theorists, and even ordinary people for years. A mysterious and strangely loud sound that came from the depths of the ocean, so powerful that it can be heard from a distance of 500 kilometers. This sound was so strange that some people said it might belong to a sea monster, an undiscovered creature, something alive and massive just beneath the surface of the ocean. Others claimed the sound came from a secret military base. But where did this sound really come from? So, let's quickly dive into this strange and unknown yet real story. Millennium. Scientists from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, were using devices called hydrophone special underwater listening systems to search for volcanic activity beneath the sea when they came across a strange sound. It was a powerful and extremely loud sound that bore no resemblance to any of the oceanic sounds recorded up to that point. They named it the bloop. Interestingly, this sound originated from somewhere in the middle of the southern Pacific Ocean, roughly at the coordinates 50 degrees south and 100 degrees west, and it was captured by a hydrophone called the Equatorial Pacific Ocean Array. What most people know is that this device is usually used to monitor underwater earthquakes, the sounds of ice, and even to track whales. But something that not everyone may know is that this system was originally built for military projects to eavesdrop on Soviet submarines, but was later also used for scientific research. In short, this topic was so hot and strange that theories started popping up very quickly. Some people said that this sound could belong to a living creature. In fact, when Christopher Fox, one of the NOAA researchers, said in an interview that this sound is similar to that of a living creature, but no animal on Earth can produce a sound that loud. If it exists, it would have to be something much bigger than a blue whale. This very statement sparked imaginations and theories. Why did they even think that this sound might be related to a living creature? Because its sound pattern was exactly like the sounds produced by marine creatures such as whales. Of course, with one important difference, the intensity of this sound was several times greater. In this way, some people believed that this sound could belong to a giant sea creature. A creature even larger than the blue whale. Let me also add as a side note that currently the blue whale is the largest known creature on Earth and has one of the loudest animal sounds. Now just imagine, if this sound really belongs to a living creature, how massive and enormous this monster could be. In short, since more than 95% of the ocean depths have yet to be explored, we really don't know what lives beneath the surface. That's why some people's minds turn to monsters and unknown sea creatures. It even got to the point where some media outlets linked the bloop sound to imaginary creatures, drew pictures of them, made documentaries about them, and a lot of strange clips were circulated. Some people even claim that maybe this sound belonged to a modern-day kraken, a giant octopus, or even Leviathan, the mythical sea dragon. The kraken is a gigantic and terrifying mythical creature that swallows ships, and it mostly has its roots in Norwegian and Scandinavian legends. Leviathan is also mentioned in religious texts like the Torah, and is a mythical giant creature that symbolizes the untamed power of the sea and the challenges humanity must face. But some other people had their minds somewhere else entirely. They said maybe there was a secret military experiment going on, or perhaps the sound was even related to hidden submarines. But which of these theories was actually closer to the truth? After years of research, scientists finally found an answer, or at least, they think they did. For years, the bloop remained a mystery, and no one knew exactly where the sound had come from. Until finally, after extensive investigations and installing more hydrophone, especially near the South Pole, NOAA scientists were able to identify the probable source of the sound. It wasn't a monster, a submarine, or a mythical creature. The bloop was simply a massive icequake, nothing else. In fact, when a massive chunk of ice breaks off from a glacier, or when ice masses collide violently, they produce a very loud sound. In scientific terms, this phenomenon is called ice calving, which means that a glacier or a large iceberg near the ocean gradually cracks over time, until suddenly a huge piece breaks off and falls into the water with a thunderous sound. In short, the bloop sound was explained in this way. It was likely caused by a massive iceberg breaking apart and producing that mysterious noise. In fact, since water is a very good channel for transmitting sound, this caused the noise to be heard even kilometers away. Of course, it's important to know that although scientists said this sound matches the noise produced by an iceberg, up until then, no iceberg had ever been heard making such a loud sound with that specific pattern. The bloop sound was so powerful that hydrophones 200 kilometers apart recorded it at once. If this sound happened in Central America, people could have heard it from northern Canada to southern Colombia. Now, the bloop is one of several strange sounds NOAA has recorded, but there are other mysterious sounds that remain unexplained. First is upsweep, a series of repetitive, unintelligible sounds heard since 1991. The next sound is called tool, an unknown sound like a scream or howl. The next sound is Julia, soft, widespread sound even heard in Africa. Now, if you want my personal opinion about today's topic, I have to say that maybe the bloop was an icequake, but is that really the whole story? Maybe more research should have been done before concluding that the bloop was definitely the sound of an icequake. You can't completely rule out the theory that a massive sea creature might actually be down there. Maybe in the first place, it was this giant creature that made a sound so loud it caused the icequake. I mean, maybe we've only seen a small piece of the truth. But what do you think? Be sure to write it in the comments. I really want to know your opinion. But the story of the bloop isn't just a scientific tale. This story shows how much of the Earth is still unknown. We think about space, but these very oceans of ours might be full of secrets that we haven't even come close to yet.